We will start another 5 minutes. I think it's very happy to see AI is using to our meeting. I got two chat notice that autopilot they are using to keep notes. Mr. Przemek, I think you can hear us. Przemek?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Very happy to see we are using AI now in our meeting.
Yeah, that's excellent. Like I encourage everyone to do that so that you'll have the right transcript and then short 5 points to remember, right? Rather than going through everything and all the notes that you do. That's super smart.
Great. Shivantika, shall we start? I think it's 41. The 10 maybe login. We'll following it up in our WhatsApp group, reminding.
Sure. I suppose I'm audible and visible. Am I audible and visible?
Yes,
Sure.
Shivantika, you're audible.
Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to each and every one of you from across the globe joining us today for the virtual monthly forum organized by PMI Colombo Sri Lanka chapter. We are delighted to have such a diverse and esteemed group of professionals in our virtual space. We'll dive into the topic of 5 sides of the coin in PM. You know, in our project management field, decisions are like coins. They have many sides. So understanding all these dimensions is crucial, isn't it? Today, we'll explore these sides together, gaining insights that will broaden our perspectives and enhance our project management skills. So I would be honored to extend an invitation for the President of PMI Colombo Sri Lanka chapter, Mrs. Aman Kandanarachi, to deliver the welcome address to our esteemed attendees. Over to you, Mrs. Kandanarachi.
Thank you, Shivantika, for a nice welcome. Again, I welcome all for this 10th webinar series in this year. As the President and the Board of Directors, we have targeted 2 sessions per month, 1 webinar and 1 in-person event. So in this year, we have conducted already 6 in-person event, and also we did our annual project management conference and excellence award on 16th August, and then we are coming to the year end, and this is our 10th webinar. So already we have delivered nearly more than 30 PDUs. So I am happy on behalf of the board of directors and the president, and who support, especially our resource persons, and thank you all to supporting us to engage this seminar series. So coming to today's session, actually, I'd like to thank especially Mr. Przemek getting our acceptance, and he's going to deliver about the 5 sides of the coin, what makes PM great. So I'm not going to deliver his profile. Shivantika is and my rest of the team and past president, Mr. Arnukurama, all helping us. So this topic is very important because, as the topic say, is how it manage the stakeholders, the importance of. So I'm not going to take much time. So again, I thank all of you. But I want to tell one thing. We are having our next year, 31st May, scheduling regional project management conference. So I do keep your days reserved for that. And also we are having a beach cleaning event on 17th December. This year, beach cleaning event, CSR project, together along with the Toastmaster Wednesday 7th Toastmaster Club, Project Management Institute, Sri Lanka chapter, and Coastal Guard Association, we are doing it. So this is another CSR project coming under ESG, United Nations. We are targeting that also, our impact on society, our commitment to the do good things to the society. So having informed that, let me hand over to the session to the Shivantika to carry out further. Over to you, Shivantika. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Saman Kandaraj, the President of PMICSL chapter, for delivering the welcome speech. So, ladies and gentlemen, now let me to welcome. Today, we have the privilege of introducing our esteemed speaker, Mr. Przemek Kotecki. So it is with immense pleasure and honor that I invite the former president of PMICSL chapter, Mr. Aruna Kuragama, to introduce our esteemed keynote speaker today. Over to you, Mr. Kuragama.
Thank you, Shivantika. Today we have the privilege of being with even in virtually presence in the field of business and technology transformation. The transformation executive advisor, Mr. Przemek Kotecki. He has successfully built group transformation office, GTO, and also global PMO and Agile Center of Excellence, most recently as head of GTO at Allegro, world's largest e-commerce marketplace of European origin. Before that, he has been as a head of operations and head of project management at Netguru, one of the Forbes Diamond's fastest growing digital consultancies. He has built his international experience as a program manager at Thomson Reuters MENA in Dubai. He's also co-founded Transition Management Academy and is teaching at Kozminski University, which is #1 business school in CE Europe. Privately, he enjoys playing board games, sailing, and volunteering. Ladies and gentlemen, please join with me giving warm welcome to our exceptional speaker, Mr. Przemek Kotecki. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation and invite. Thank you all so much. So let me start by sharing my screen, as it always happens when it comes to virtual events, and then we'll carry forward. Okay. So you should be seeing my screen. Can you just confirm? Yeah, I can see that. You confirm this. That's perfect. All right. So I do see a few familiar faces from all over the world. Even from Crisis perspective, I do see Mariusz. He is actually from Kozminski University. So hi, Mariusz. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for everyone else that joined here as well. Now, today we're meeting to cover the 5 sides of the coin and what makes PM a great PM. I understand that for majority of you, this is evening already. It's past 7 p.m. So let's start with the pleasantries, and that would be Suba Sandhyavak, Malay Vanakam, and good evening, and Dzień dobry wieczór. Right, so those are the things that hopefully I did not butcher that much in Tamil and Sinhala, and that those work well for you. So it's very happy to have you all here to chat with me on those topics. Now, what will be covered today, and you've already heard the intro, we'll be chatting a little bit about the different perspectives from the different stakeholders' points of view, right? So we look at ourselves, how we as project managers, how do we see each other, right? And what do we think on what's important to become a great project manager? Then we will touch base on the team, and then the program and portfolio managers' perspective. Now, we will move to the leaders of the organization, and that's CTO, CFOs, CTOs, you name them, right? And we will check how the client looks at all of that. This will be based on elements of my experience, a little bit of research, and a little bit of discussions there as well. So this will be a mix of this information and few of the tools that I believe help a lot. Some of them very simple that people forget, and some of those maybe a little bit more advanced. Now, you could ask yourself a question: am I the right person to talk about that? Right? So do I fit into chatting about that? So I do have a short intro. We covered some of those, so I'll briefly go through that. I actually do tend to post a lot of LinkedIn, by the way. So if you want to have the interaction with me, that's probably one of the best places to chat. I also did do some introduction there, and your team did fantastic job presenting this seminar there as well. Now, my experience does come from those few different places that were already mentioned: Thomson Reuters, Netguru, Allegro. I also am an active volunteer in Project Management Institute on the Polish side of things, right? So in the Polish community. Now, why I think I can talk about those things is because I did wear different hats. I did have different hats there, right? I was a client, right? And I was asking different teams that had project managers to deliver different services, be it in the IT or in the construction and in a few other places here as well. I was senior project manager in few different areas, but one of the first ones was in mergers and acquisitions. So when we acquired different companies and they needed to be integrated in the larger corporation. I was leading some programs, including in Dubai, that was mentioned. In Dubai, we were building a platform for small and medium enterprises and for subject matter experts to connect and build the marketplace for them to enhance their growth in the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa region. I was leading a team of project managers at Netguru. My largest team there was, I think, 70 project managers directly reporting to me, of course, in different layers, right? Then I was responsible for scaling of the organization. So how to be ready for the future, how to grow within the operations team. Then I moved to the portfolio management, and that was in the $6.5 billion organization at Allegro, right? Where we needed to look at the strategic projects and how do we focus on providing the most value for the organization. And then that moved me to the position of Global Transformation Office Director, where I was looking not only on the strategic projects, although that was the super important part of it, but also about the Agile transformation and integration management office, and combining that all together into having the governance and the execution of the strategy within the bigger transformation effort. So all of those experiences, I will try to use some of those experiences to share with you the findings of what takes for the project managers, in my opinion. Right? And currently I'm a consultant, and I'm helping organizations and people individually to grow within those spheres. Now, you've already also heard a few things about me personally. I do not speak Tamil and Sinhala, so those are the only few words that I know so far, but hopefully I'll get a little bit more. But what I do like is I love remote work, and by that I mean I love workation. I love traveling to different countries and working from there. I do enjoy understanding technology, not deep dive, driving and coding, everything deep there, although by education I am a computer science engineer. But I do enjoy understanding how AI will impact us, how blockchain can revolutionize or cannot revolutionize some of the areas within education, for example, and so on, right? So understanding that helps me move forward. And then I am curious by nature, right? So I do like to find interesting facts, fun facts, and so on. So you will find some of those sometimes when I'm posting about a location or event or something. I'll be thinking, hey, there is a fun fact about this location. So you can expect that from me from time to time. And all the other things I think were mentioned there, maybe three more there, right? I do like kite surfing. well, at this moment in time, I'm in a position where I know how to jump, but I'm not that good in landing. So there are a lot of splashes there. I still need to learn that. I do like fantasy and science fiction books. So if you're into that, I'm happy to exchange authors. I do tend to read and listen on the audiobooks a lot. I think I do maybe 100 books a year. And then probably 50 to 60% of those would be lighter genre like science fiction or fantasy. Right? And I do love dumplings, those with cottage cheese and potatoes and onions. Those are my favorite ones. So with that, you know almost everything about me. Now, I do have one thing about Sri Lanka. I actually did have the encounter there. So I did travel there touristically with my partner at the time. And then what happened is that the location was so beautiful. And it was such an amazing event and so many fantastic people that we got engaged there. So she agreed to become my wife. And with that, after some time, when my birth was a little bit longer and so on, she actually became my wife. So that started from the formal perspective, at least, of the engagement in Sri Lanka. So thank you so much. Sri Lanka is always close in my heart from that side. So this is my retrospective. And then as we think about retrospectives, right? So we should go into the proper topic and jump into the topic. So what I'll do, I will have few of those Mentimeters for you. So what you need is either go to menti.com and use the code here, right? In the other tab that you have, or just use your smartphone if you have one and follow the QR code. And what will happen there on the first question, and I'll jump to there in the second, right? You will have a question, right? If you had to choose only one, right? Which eyes are the most important from your perspective? What do you think? Is it your own eyes? Is it your team's eyes? Is it a program manager's eyes, CEOs or clients' perspective, right? Whose perspective is the most important perspective if you had to choose? I understand you would say it depends. There are many options, right? I understand that you may discuss. There are no good and bad answers. Let's just see how do we roughly look at it from the initial perspective. So let me check how we're doing there. Okay, I already see that some people are answering. So we got there. There's 6 people there. I'll still stay here for some people to find the QR code and everything. And then we'll give ourselves 1 minute, right, just to warm up ourselves up here and see how it goes. Okay, let's see. Okay, 6, 10, 13 people answered. Okay. 16, okay, we're moving forward. There are 40 of us. Let's see what percentage will be actively engaged and how many of us are on the audio mode, so you only listen, right? Okay, let's see whether we'll get to 20 or not, and then we move forward. But what we see, okay, the client side, for majority of the people that decided to vote, the client side is the most important one, right? So the eyes of the client. But then number of you are saying, okay, obviously everyone believes client is important, right? But the self view, my view of whether I'm a good or great project manager and how that works is the most important, maybe because that's how I can influence others and how I can share how that works. And some people are saying team, right? Together, everyone achieves more. Team. If we are working with the team and team is supporting us, then that works pretty well. Oh, and we do have a newcomer, a new joiner on the CEO, and that's a super important view as well, right? CEO is, or the representation of the CEO or the higher leadership, right, is telling us where we're heading, what's the vision, how the projects should bring value. So that's super important here as well. So I'm leaving that here. You can still vote if you want, and then let me move farther. So See, the C is missing here. But the projects, right? How are you doing with the project? And now we'll go there again. That's the same place, right? So what we'll do is we'll ask ourselves a few questions about the projects, because when we're saying how to define whether I'm a good project or great project manager, or what makes a great project manager, let's have few thoughts on how are we doing with the projects in general. Are they working well for us? Are we delivering value, or not that much? So what you have here under, it is the same code, right? It should just jump automatically there, but you can also follow here, right? In your view, when you're thinking about your organization, be it small or big organization, and you look back at the last year, about 12 months, so the whole 2023, what do you think? And don't worry if you do not know the numbers, right? Don't worry if you're not within the PMO space with all the data and everything. Just what you feel, what you think are the numbers, right? So what percentage of the projects realized in your organization in the last 12 months? And now there are a number of questions here, right? What's the number of the successfully delivered? So you have few different answers there, right? And you can answer and should answer all of those, right? So how many of those projects, if the percentage is 100 total, right? How many successfully delivered original project or business intent of the project, right? So there was intent, there was a business goal. We wanted to achieve something. Did we achieve it? How many percent of the project did achieve it in your organization? Your guess, right? And we're averaging that. Nobody sees this data other than you, of course, right? Then the second one is included project sponsors who were actively supportive of the project. So were there people that were sponsors that were supporting this project, they were helping it succeed, right? And then regardless of whether the other two were true, did they finish on time, right? Did the project finish on time within the budget in your organizations? And then regardless of the other ones, did they finish on time? So you had some initial plan, right? And how did it do with the schedule, right? And then maybe some of them did have a scope creep. Scope creep is when there is usually add-on, a lot of additional work being added on the project, be it by the client or by the team for that matter, although it's more gold plating, right? Then, but if you do have a big change or add-on of the scope, or maybe some uncontrolled changes completely, right? So rather than plan the change management and everything, just quickly changing. And there are two others, right? Was there a chance that some of the projects lost its project budget upon failure? So by that I mean, okay, the project started failing and then it lost the budget, was cut, and we stop it, right? And then maybe, right, some of them were deemed, so assumed or considered failures, that they did not work. Right? So I see almost 20 people voted. So this is roughly our spread. Now look at some interesting elements. Right? So probably when you think about the data, some of you know exactly the data from your organization. Some of you just assume some things, right? Depending on what we see or how many project managers we see and so on. But look at the spread. How big is the spread in almost every line, right? So there are some people that are saying, hey, there was 0% of the projects delivered, right? With the value. And then there were people saying, hey, 90% or so of the projects we delivered and they brought value as intended, right? So by the way, congratulations, right? This is not that usual, I would say. Now, in the other ones, sponsors, right? Were they helpful or not? Majority are saying 50-50, right? 50-50, right? But then there are some that are saying not at all. Some that are saying yes, a lot, 100% there, right? Quite a few, by that I mean a few people here, right? Then finish within the budgets, spread across as well. Initially within the scheduled time, it's already dropping, right? So maybe in the budget, but a little bit later, right? So probably you don't count the man hours, but just other budget there, right? Scope creep, a lot of scope creep, right? So projects that got additional things to do or changes that were out of control. And then some of the projects, some percentage lost the budget, some were considered failures, right? So this is our view of this group that we hear Of course, 18 people, and it's an average, and it's considerations only for here, right? But now, when you look at the data that PMI gathered, and this is from the much bigger sample, right? This is across the industry. This is mostly North America, right? But that's a global check on the estimations, right? And I'll be jumping between those for a second, right? So look, we said 50% of our projects, right, are roughly delivered. Usually what happens is that actually quite a lot of projects eventually deliver the intended business value, right? If we put aside the budget, the schedule, and everything, right? And then it goes a little bit down from that. On average, 62% of the sponsors are active on the projects, or the other way around, the projects have active sponsors, right? Some of those finished with the initial budget, that's 60%. That's pretty good, actually, right? When you think about it. Well, considering 70% only deliver the value, right? Now, within the timeline, it's not that good already. It's 50%, and then experience some scope creep, it's 50%. Now, here we are quite similar. Look, you said 30% lost budget upon failure. We're saying on average 32%. And then that some of them were considered failures. So actually you're saying 35%. Of course, in your definition of the failure, and that may entail a number of things, right? But usually through the organization, in that survey, it was 14%. Now I'm putting this data to give us a perspective that this is fairly normal. By that I mean there are organizations that are doing better, there are organizations that are doing much worse, right? But it's not that everyone gets 100%, nor that everyone is doing very, very bad, right? We're somewhere in between, and between the organizations and between the project managers, it differs, right? So the better project manager we are, hopefully the closer or even farther than those lines our projects are. So we saw those numbers, but then some of you may know and have this number at the back of your head, so I'll just put it here as well, right? There is this number that is known roughly in the industry and being reused within the presentations, that 70% of the projects fail. And that already started with some of the research by Chaos Group, I believe, or Chaos Report by Standish Group. And that continues to be done, this report and surveys, and the data is being used, right? And actually, at least when it comes to IT software projects, actually, it's fairly correct. So roughly 30% of the projects succeed, right? And by succeed, we mean within time, scope, budget, and intended value. So all of those four things together, right? So while separately those things could be working in your advantage or not, all together are fairly rare, right? And not only 30% of those go there. There is a big in between, because the failures is 20%, right? And that's very similar to what PMI had there, right? If you remember here, 14%. Now, but I was asking myself, okay, is it only for the IT software projects? Because as we sit here, maybe some of you are working in the other industry. So I just wanted to do the rough check. So I did find the data about the construction industry. And funny enough, if you look at the numbers, right, 1 out of 3 constructors finish projects on time and within budget, right? So if you reverse that, right, 70% fail in one or more of those criteria. It doesn't mean it's a big failure, right? It just means that something shifted significantly from initial assumptions, right? So then let's look further. And the Harvard Business Review was looking at the change management projects. And almost every project is a change management project, right? So within those projects, 70% fail again. Again, that means they do not deliver the intended value or do not fit the assumed criteria that were at the beginning there, right? So 70%, and all those numbers that we had there. Now there is something to be done. And of course, what that means, there is an amazing place for great project managers, right? Because if you're a great project manager and you hopefully deliver more often than less, right, you may be in that 30% group of the projects. Now, just very quickly, if you're wondering about the reasons, right, there was different research reports and so on, but why organizations fail, This is the split. This is from the perspective of PMI. So of course, the questions were asked in a specific manner, and the poor project management skills in general were pretty high there, right? 30% impacted that, but also lack of communication, scope unclear, improperly defined objectives, inability to cope with technology. That is growing more and more. That people, the great project managers, are not able to cope well with the new changes in the technology, right? And they catch up a little bit later. So at moment in time when they are learning, they may not be the best project managers that they could be. One of the other reports would tell you stakeholders, especially sponsors engagement, right? If sponsors engagement is not there, yeah, you are likely to fail. Sorry, but there are of course some success factors as well. So some of them reverse those, some of them are from different perspective. User involvement, you want to get users, participants, or people you work for engaged. Yeah, you all know that, right? This is just a reminder. Executive management support, so that's the sponsor being engaged. Clear statement and requirements, those can change obviously later on, right? But you need to know a starting point, what you're starting with, what they need to achieve, what's there. Proper planning, and again, of course, the planning may change, right? The plan may change. There were those great generals that were saying planning is everything, plan is nothing, right? And no plan wins this or survives the meeting with the enemy, right? The plans need to change constantly, but you adapt them starting with some base, so you know what you want to achieve, right? And then realistic expectations, right? I cannot tell you how often the expectations of the client or sponsor or CEO or whoever are just not realistic. But if project manager does not address that, does not challenge those and set the right expectations, that may be very challenging and you may not be successful with your organization. So a few more things on the projects you may be interested in. Those data split, right? So some of people like that, to look at that. So people will say, yeah, Przemek, you're talking about waterfall projects, but agile projects, those are doing excellent. The agile project managers are doing excellent. They're doing better. That is true. Look, 42% against 26 on average in the reports from 2013 to 2017 from the Standish group report, right? So they're doing pretty well, you know. And then if you look at the most recent, that's 2020, right? 42 against 13. So waterfall dropped. That is percentage drop, so do not take that much out of that, right? Because that may be just more and more projects are there or less projects, but they may be much bigger projects with, I don't know, $10 billion there rather than 100 million and so on, right? But the data is interesting. It supports that there is still place for good project managers. And there is one other, a similar interesting thing that is here. So you may be saying, yeah, Przemek, but I'm working on the huge projects, right? And within those projects, it works better or worse, right? And someone else will say, yeah, but how can I compare to the smaller projects? So what they did is they've also split to large, medium, and small projects. And what you'll see, and that kind of sounds intuitive, right? The smaller the project, the bigger the success percentage, right? So if the horizon of the project or the scale of the project is smaller, usually we are more successful. And actually the difference between the agile approach and waterfall approach is not that bad. That was till 2017, the newest one. Well, it's there, right? It's 15%, but still they are fairly close. But if you go to the medium and large projects, right, that changes towards agile. Now, remember, a lot of those projects are in the IT industry. So there are industries where the agile mindset is absolutely necessary, but not all of the frameworks will work well. You still need to think about the long plan, have everything ready, and implement accordingly. There are a lot of those types of projects there as well, and you need to work according with those. So this is some of the interesting data for you. Now, finally, I just wanted to show you, because I found it super interesting, so I wanted to share, is that this group, you know, I was showing you those numbers from 2013, 2017, and so on. But I was asking myself, are we doing better in time? So, okay, today, 30 or 40% of the projects are successful. But was it always like that? Are we doing better or not? right? So they prepared a graph, so I just copied it. And what they are saying, right? They started in 1994, and they were saying at that time only 16% of the projects were successful. 16, right? So 84% were not successful, right? And then now it's up to 35, so that's a good change. The unsuccessful, by that I mean failed totally, dropped to 19 from 30, and those with some challenges. So that's on the scope, on the budget, or quality, or a few other things, right? Those are roughly keeping at the same level. So there are still a lot of challenges, but people deliver, right? The projects that deliver fully and are successful are doing better, but that's, you know, from the last 20 years, that's fairly from 30 to 35. We still have a lot of room for improvement. So again, it's worth working on being the best PM that you can be. So that wraps up the project section and few data numbers and what we think about it. And now I wanted to move to the self-image, and then we will jump again to here. So this is an open question for you. So when you think about you as you, what do you think? What do you believe makes a great PM? By PM, I mean project manager, not program manager, not product manager, project manager, right? So what, and not prime minister, by the way. But what makes PM a great project manager? What do you think, right? If you were to say, are there any characteristics, any skills, anything that you believe makes you a great PM, or others a great PM if you're working with them? Like, what do you think about project managers? This is your view. You can think whatever you want, by the way, right? That doesn't have to be anything that you've heard from anyone else or any research. That's what you believe makes a great project manager. Again, let me start jumping there. Okay, we start getting some. The first person already moved through those. So the competent person, yeah, absolutely. That may mean so many things, by the way, right? Competent in so many areas. I'm assuming that's a professional approach to techniques and the technical side of project management mainly, but that may cover everything else there as well, I assume, right? Then a lot of communication, leadership, expectation setting, emotional intelligence. By the way, if you don't know how that works, is that the bigger the letters, that means the more people voted on it, but added the same thing, right? So sometimes we'll see that communication is in few different places because someone wrote communication skills, someone else wrote communication. That's absolutely normal, right? Okay, what do we see? Delight customer. Okay, so a great customer facing skill, right? Servant leadership. And I saw leadership and servant leadership. So servant leadership is when I'm there to help as project manager, right? I'm there to support the team and support others actually to be the best of them and deliver the project successfully, right? Empathetic, problem solving, excellent, right? Understanding, teamwork, flexible, setting expectations. I love that. Flexibility, risk management, awesome team. Okay, so to be a great project manager, you need awesome team. I love that, right? So you can be a one-person army, but that usually doesn't get you that far as you could go with a great team. Amazing. So we do have communication skills, competency. By that I mean I understand professionalism in those technical manners, as I understand. By technical, again, as PMI says it, right? So that's in the tools, techniques, but also processes and setups of the project management, right? Leadership and so on. Okay, so we do have this beautiful set there. Let me go back. You can still add. If you're writing or adding, you can still add. Right? And now I've got few things, and I'll start with the one that seems to be universal across the centuries, right? So that's from few decades back already, right? But then reviewed and updated and actually looking at the project manager skills for 21st century. So that was at the very end of the last century. right? And what they are saying, look at those numbers, right? What they are saying, right? Communication, right? What is super important. They asked a lot of project managers and others about that. And what are we saying? Communication is important, right? Then they're saying, okay, a few other things as well. By the way, there's nothing not important, and that's okay. That's understandable. Everything is important to some extent. It's a matter of how we balance those things, right? Look, team player, community builder, right? So this excellent team, great team, but also ability to work with them, ability to help them and work with them. This one is super, super important. Building support network within or with management. So that means higher management, right? So working with sponsors, working with CEO, working with program manager, working with heads of the departments, working with all those people there, right? Helping them and addressing those things. Look, that's the top one actually that they were saying. And that's, in PMI terms, that's stakeholder engagement, right? Getting stakeholders engaged, right? But then the other one I wanted to put here for you, leadership, we've put high, and it's high, right? But look, just one below, sense of humor. Now, this is a beautiful one. I love this one. Why is that? That's because, you know, of course you need to adapt to the situation. Sometimes you need to be very strict and approach things correctly and so on. Absolutely, right? But more often than not, working with the team and with other stakeholders, those are people that are the people that you want to work to build a good atmosphere and understand the humor and build a positive atmosphere, right? That's something that helps a lot. That doesn't mean you should always use humor to hide some things or to run away from the conflict or anything else, because there are a lot of people doing that, right? No, absolutely no. Address the conflict situation, right? But you may be using humor to help your team grow, right? And then willingness to change. I call it curiosity to grow, right? So be able to understand that the things change and being open to changes coming out from outside and from inside, right? Internal and external, intrinsic and external motivation, right? A number of other things here, right? An interesting view that we have there. But then I'm thinking, okay, so that's what they're saying. We said this, right? And then I was thinking, okay, but what can I tell you from my experience? So I was hands-on project manager for many years as well, right? So my thinking there is that, however you call it, right? But we deliver. I'm happy if I'm project manager, I'm running a project, right? I want to deliver, but not only deliver the project, I want to deliver value, right? Sometimes you need to change the project to deliver the value, right? So if the business value, whatever the business value is within the project is delivered, I am happy as a project manager, right? The second element is client is satisfied. My take is that me and the team will be super happy, and our boss and whoever else will be there if the client will be happy. Of course, you may be running internal projects within the organization. Then you have internal clients rather than external, right? But either this or that, they should be satisfied with the business value and how you handle things and so on. We usually used NPS, Net Promoter Score, to measure the results. You can use CSAT, so customer surveys or anything else, right? But just measure that, check it, and be sure that they are satisfied on the regular basis. One of the problems that I saw for the teams is that they measure it just at the end of the project. That's too late. Well, of course, that is, you should do it, but that's too late. You should do it on a very regular basis. In the long-term projects, I would say quarterly, do it quarterly, right? So every quarter, roughly check how the client is feeling about that. Agree upfront with them that you will be checking that every quarter, right? And then follow up on that. Then the other one is about the performance, but we perform to the best of our abilities. Now, sometimes the challenges are just too big, right? And even though we got everything and everyone and did a lot of things, the project couldn't be delivered by us at least, right? So sometimes that happens. But then what gives me comfort, if that happens, unfortunately, is that we did the best that we could do, right? Because if we did not do the best that we can do, then maybe the project could be delivered. That obviously I'm not happy with myself, right? And then team is proud. And that's different from team being happy. Because team may be happy, well, they should be happy, of course, right? But team may be happy, but not proud, right? Okay, we did it, we just did what we needed and done, right? But if you think about this customer delight that you mentioned there, right? If you think about the how we work with the team, you want them to be proud of what you delivered. So they need to understand why we're delivering that, what we're delivering, and how that works. If you get that, a lot of things work well here. And then recently, I was giving a presentation about the future of project management, and what I came to realize is that my self-image of the project manager wouldn't be complete without being on top of the trends, whatever are the trends, right? So being ready for the future, that would correspond to this willingness to change that you saw in the report, right? But being able, understanding, having this bigger picture, someone wrote wider view somewhere here, right? So bigger picture, right? So having that is super important. Right? So to have that in mind, I wanted to show you a set. I won't go through all those trends and what they mean. I'm happy to chat after the session about that, right? But I've collided the list of the trends that I believe are in the project management right now, right? And obviously nobody will dispute that the AI is there, right? It's for the project managers and everyone else. How you applied it, how that works, different discussions, right? But it's there, it's here to stay. Then the second, by the way, is also AI, right? If you were to there, and then the automation starts, but that goes with AI as well. So this is a very strong contender for this year, well, the next year as well. As we get more used to it, it will be just random thing. And of course, it's this is so-called artificial intelligence, right? We're talking about generative models and language models and few other elements that could be used. They are not that advanced yet, but they are moving at the rapid speed. So that will help more and more in project management. But then growing side of things is emotional intelligence. We were already talking about that, but it's even farther, even more there. Then it's already a lot of discussion about the hybrid methodologies. In the people say it's VUCA word or bunny word or any other word, right? That is a little bit complex, and there are challenges and changes everywhere, right? So being able to apply the right methodology, and that may be a different methodology at the beginning of your project and different at the end of your project, right? So being able to work that either from the beginning in the hybrid setup or move across those things, that's something that you should be looking at, right? Sustainability, very straightforward. It's a big trend right now. Data analytics and numbers, they were always important. They are becoming more important than ever, especially data literacy, so understanding the data that may be going to those AI models, but you need to understand what you're feeding it to be able to make the right decisions. And that will be happening more and more in your projects. Hopefully you're ready for that, because we always needed to work with the data for the projects. Then we do have two others, advanced tools and solutions that will be exploding further. More and more in the change management and transition management. So transition management is when you move people through the change, right? So you have transformation of the organizations. We colloquially say that people go under transformation. They usually go through transition from one place to another and through some phases within it. So understanding how that goes. Everyone should understand how the cybersecurity works. Projects and strategy work hand in hand, usually delivered within some strategy office or transformation office or a few other places. There will be a lot of exploratory projects. So those are those R&D projects that are getting more and more, checking what's happening there. So you don't know what you'll get. You don't know when you'll get it, right? And you don't know how to approach it, right? And that's your project. Go, right? So understanding how to work with that will be interesting. New and revised frontiers. What that means is that you're looking at the again, so to speak, at new technologies or new places. So space exploration is rapidly growing. So many new types of projects that may be going there. Well, NASA and a few other places, of course, they do have a strict policy to build the space shuttle. But Elon Musk's SpaceX is saying, hey, let's fail quick, right? So 1 or 2 explosions do not matter that much as long as we move forward, right? So those will be revised as well. And then what we should not forget, it was very strong in COVID times, then the focus on that dropped a bit, but then it moved again, the mental health of the project manager and the team. So, and finally, I think 2 more, right? Power skills and the remote working, how we deliver what we do, how we work with people, and then remote working. So if people want to work from other places. Now, what we see is companies is taking people back to the office in so-called model 3-5 or 3-2, right? 3 days in the office, 2 to not. But what is already being expected is that will be a silent backdoor that the best employees will be getting possibility to work remotely, even though the general rule will be for 3-2, because the companies will be looking for some balance. But that depends on the economic progress and a few other things as well. So those are some of the trends that I gathered for you. I think those are strong contestants. Of course, some of them will be moving forward than not. I'm super happy to chat about some of those if you would have some questions later on, or you just want to chat on LinkedIn. In the meantime, right, we move to the team, right? And then with the team, of course, we'll do a quick check. How are we doing with the team? All right, so tell me, in the eyes of the team, what's the most important thing, right? What do you think makes the PM a great PM in the eyes of the team? Or I call it differently there, what's most important for the team in the eyes of, when it comes to the project manager? What's there, all right? So, and we can check, is it different? Is it not different from what we have there? Okay, we're still writing. So we know what's important for us, right? What's important for the team? Okay. Oh, communication. So that's a similar one, but we get ethics, right? Those are the first responses. Thank you. Someone is the fastest person here. Congratulations, right? We do have competencies. Okay, synchronization, velocity, so the speed of work, clients' needs, so they want to understand it and deliver it. Minimal surprises. Oh, I love that one, right? So do not surprise me, negatively, of course, right? With a lot of changes that could be predicted, because sometimes you cannot predict these things, right? But be my shield as well, probably, right? Teamwork. Trust, okay, trust, building a psychologically safe environment. Capability, synchronization, competences, okay? Let's give ourselves 15 more seconds. Empathy, empathy, yes. We saw the emotional intelligence that's being taught, right? So empathy is being able to put a hat of a different person and start to think or feel how that person feels or thinks. Quick response to issues, so be proactive in sorting the problems, right? PM assertiveness, be the shield, block people, right? Okay, clarity, right? Give me clarity. Number of other things you can still add here if you want. I'll jump here. So my thinking here is that for the teams, I think we agree in principle with everything, right? But there are a few elements here that may move the needle. The first one is trust. Someone put the trust. I think it all starts with the trust. Now, of course, sometimes it is a quick project for the group of people. You won't get a team, you will get a group of people that work on the same thing for a short period of time. But if you want to build a high-performing team, you need to build trust, and the psychological trust where the team will believe in between themselves, support themselves, believe in you as a project manager, and so on. And that comes a lot into, walking the talk, supporting them, being this shield that you mentioned, right? Being assertive as a project manager, and few other elements. The second one, yeah, you had it there as well, right? So structure, clarity, right? But that starts with the frameworks. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have everything listed as a process, right? And every little step being given there to be sorted. No, but giving the framework, this is how you work. This is who we work with. This is how we do things, right? Those are our stakeholders that we approach with the specific way. This is our communication plan. And by the way, working some of those together, of course, right? And then giving guidelines how we solve things, right? And taking ownership of the problems. This is something that's expected from the team. Right? Then conflict resolution. This is something that some project managers run away from, and then it hinders the move of the project and the team, right? If there are project problems and conflicts, it is your role to at least mediate, right, and support solving the conflict, right? Or sometimes that means if it's unsolvable, the actual problem, then being able to address it openly with the team, to put a pause on it or put it on the parking so that they all agree we will solve it a little bit later because there is a lot of, well, because we need to do something else first because of the deadline, for example, but we will come back to it and maybe we'll get some external support to solve it, right? But conflict resolution is something where it actually doesn't matter whether it's a project manager only. Every leader, right, is judged by their team, by their ability to solve conflicts, right? And there's a lot of research going into that. What's also expected is the vision, the why. I think you had it here as well, right? So why am I doing things, right? What are we doing? So having this bigger picture rather than only, hey, work on this specific part, that helps in empowering them and in them making the decisions, right? Where are we? So, you know, the clarity, synchronization, support of the team, be it with the tools or with the discussions, right? But how are we doing? Are we delivering well or not within this velocity, right? Are we delivering fast enough, right? So where are we? Giving this picture, right? And then giving the right tools, because there's nothing more irritating than doing some manual work that could be done very quickly by the software that your company, by the way, has, right? It's a matter of just getting the right things, right? Or understanding why that's a challenging, and having opportunities for growth. So people want to take additional work usually, right? If you give them opportunities to growth and if you help them and mentor them or coach them into achieving those things. So there are some of the things that come from my experience here on the team. And I wanted to show you a few things that I think are really often missed, but they work really well in project management. And that regardless of whether you're a chief transformation officer or head of project management or project manager or business analyst or whoever else, right? It's always worth having those. And this is discussion about the values that you have, the discussion about the vision, what we want to achieve, why we want to achieve, and then setting up some kind of contract between your team, right? That works pretty well in all the Agile communities. You will see that they want to be contracted, they want to do contracts and so on, right? And while a lot of people initially say, hey, it doesn't make sense, that wouldn't work, and you can get resistance there, right, from the teams. What actually is happening when that happens, they are super happy that you did it, even though they resisted first. Right? So this is just the example how we did it on the Miro board. So any other tool, Mural or any other tool, you can do it in any other way, physical as well. We did it remotely. So what we did, right? We met as a team. That's one of my teams that I was leading at the time at Netguru, the operations team. So those are all the leaders of the teams that were reporting to me. The legal team, recruit team, IT team, security team, and some other teams as well, right? So those are the leaders of those teams, right? And now what we said, hey, first let's agree what's important to us. So those values, right, that we do. Then we said, hey, let's manage expectations, how we want to work with each other, right? And this is amazing part. This is probably one of the most valuable parts of that, right? Because everyone will tell you what you can expect from them and then hear from the others. So some people will tell you, hey, you can expect that if you are 1 minute late, I will come at you, right? I will come and ask you, when will it be? How will it be? Because I'm responsible for the timeline, right? So it's not against you, right? If we agree on a specific date, be sure that I will come, right? And this is just a simple example, right? But if you have all of those, you remove tension from the future relations, right? Mariusz is writing SLA. Yeah, absolutely. Service level agreements that works with the clients very well, right? If you do it correctly, it doesn't mean you should write everything that comes to your mind here, but the general points and agreements that you have here, right? And then from that we move to the contract, right? So we said, okay, so out of those things, what do we actually want to do together? How do you want to agree, right? And by the way, I added few points that were non-negotiable with the team. So it doesn't mean that all of them, well, ideally everyone agrees on those, right? But sometimes, right, some points, there shouldn't be many of those, but may not be negotiable, right? And if someone to challenge those, they may not be the right fit for your team. That is sometimes the case, right? So we did agree on some of the points. I won't go through them, of course, right? But just look, right? It's okay to ask for help and advice. So give yourself a place for vulnerability, right? And build trust, actually. We want to support. We want to do a few other things here as well, right? But one of the things I loved, and this one I want to share with you, right? It's okay to have a bad day, right? Now, there are those days that do not work that well for us, right? It's okay to have a bad day, right? But some people are very tense in the work. If you're building the trust, then maybe some of those things work. We had example that one of the people from the team came one day and said to the daily meeting and said, hey, team, you remember this point that we have in the contract? It's okay to have a bad day. I need you to bear with me. I may be a little bit, let's call it aggressive, right? By the verbally, I mean, because I'm very irritated at home. So and unfortunately, it won't be, I have a bad day, I have a bad week, but I'll sort it out. Don't worry. Just give me a little bit of slack. And then if someone feels safe to tell it to you as a project manager or as a team, look how easy it's to move forward with those short periods of outbursts by someone, that they happen only once rather than having a big conflict growing, right? Because it's managing expectations. And of course, you should review this, right? So we had version 2.0, we shortened it, right? But we still had, it's okay to have a bad day, right? So this is just example. You can do it completely differently, or you may use it separately. But contracting with you, with your client, with your stakeholders, with your sponsor, those are the things that work really well. Sometimes they do not necessarily need to be a very fancy big board and everything. You just sit with your sponsor and you say, hey, let's work like that. I will send you this every now and then. I need this and this for you. You need this and this for me. And something happens, right? So managing those expectations, that's something that's super important. The other part, and I see that someone took a graphical form with them. You can write on it if you need or want. So the other one, and you probably all know that, right? When you think about the team, there is this Tuckman model that goes through the ages, right? And it states that there are few cycles within each team's life, right? It's a forming, so the team gets together. Storming, there will be conflict. There will always be conflict. It's a matter of when, right? Norming, so setting up the norms and actually getting everything sorted out. And performing, doing very, very, very well. There's the fifth one as adjourning, so finishing the team as well, right? So and the farther we are in this stage, the better we do and the better we perform. So that probably you all know, right? How I'm looking at that, and this is just a different view for that, right? Is that while this is true, what a lot of leaders forget is that there is this one. There is this one additional arrow. And how I interpret it is that you have forming, storming, the team already normed, and it's performing, but then some change happens. Someone leaves the team, someone joins the team, right? What that means for your team is not that you have the team and someone needs to catch up. No, you're building a new team. You are building the new team. It will be probably faster. And this person by osmosis, the new person will probably get the culture of the team and the setup of the team faster. So it should be easier for you, right? But what will be happening is that you need to form it as well. And a lot of teams and the leaders just drop it. They say, okay, something changed, but we move farther and we still perform, right? And we expect everyone to perform. There will be drop in the performance. There will be new conflicts showing up, right? It will take some time and effort. What we counted in one of our teams that we had, we worked together for 2 years, right? But within 2 years, we counted, we had actually 8 different teams being roughly the same team, right? Because someone left, someone joined, or we expanded, we were hiring more people, we needed more people, right? So we doubled the size, right? Eventually, right? So every time we had some change and new people, that means new team. And once your team understands it and you understand it, it's easier to navigate, easier to think about those conflicts that occur there. So that's the second thought with the team that I wanted to leave with you. The third one is delegation and empowerment. People say that, yes, you should empower, you should delegate. But the problem I had as a project manager when I was starting, at least, was but I wanted to give things to people, and sometimes they delivered really well, and sometimes they failed utterly. They just didn't achieve the results at all, right? So how come? How come? And this model, this one of the visualizations, Jürgen Sapellos, right, from Management 3.0, right? So what this model opened my mind, because what it was saying is that you delegate, right, and empower person to deliver a specific job or specific task or specific project. It's about the project and the task, and later on about the person. And I'll tell you why I think that, right? Because if I'll take someone, I'll take esteemed Saman, right, the president of the PMI chapter in Sri Lanka, and I will tell him, dear Saman, I have amazing projects, and you have great experience in that, right? You've delivered 5 of those projects. You've run those transformations. You've delivered $5 million in additional profit, right? You're excellent. And I have a similar project, of course, different challenges and so on. You will be perfect for it, right? So what I'll do, I will just fully delegate this project, probably. I will just give it to Saman, and I will say, hey, this is your project, right? If you need something, let me know, but otherwise I forget about it, right? This is a full delegation because he knows everything, he runs everything, he's excellent person in that. But if at the same time I have a second project, and this is a project of, and I'm making this up, right, of setting a machine shop, but by that I mean mechanics for the cars, right? So we do have cars in our business as well, and we need to fix them, and we want to do that in-house, right? And I want someone to fix those cars, and I will go to someone and I will say, hey, how about you fix those cars? And maybe someone has this experience, but maybe not, right? So I cannot just give him, hey, fix those cars and forget about it. I need to, most likely, right, have a consult or advice, a discussion about it. We need to discuss where we are, what's his competency within that, how he understands things, and how he can best deliver within this job. And then after he does it once or twice, he may move to delegate again. The next time we would be doing that. He probably wouldn't like to do that, or maybe he loves doing cars, old cars especially, right? This is just the example. So within that, you see, you can sometimes you need to help with everything. You may get a person that never did those things. You shouldn't expect from that person to absolutely understand and know everything, right? You may need to help them. Consulting, coaching, mentoring, showing how to do so that later on they can catch up, right? That's why I'm saying you delegate the task, right? And the same person may be very, very good at delivering some tasks or projects and not that ready to deliver others. And this is the same person. You will get those persons that will tell you, I can handle anything. Throw at me and I will deliver. And that is probably true. What that means is that they are roughly somewhere here, but they will be in the advice, right? Because they are very quick learners. They will capture something, they will get, and they will learn, and they move forward. So that's excellent, but you should discuss that and agree where we are. And maybe you start with the consult, and then you quickly move to advice, and ultimately you move to full delegation within the same thing that you delegated or you empowered the person. So that's something that changed my thinking about working within the team. So I wanted to share with you this third one within the team as well. And then one more is very simple. It's okay to have a bad day, but what you manage is the energy of the people. So we can tell ourselves there are 40 hours or whatever is in your organization, right? 40 hours a week of work, and everyone should be as productive as possible and so on. But, you know, sometimes someone works 12 hours in one day or 2 in others. Sometimes there are challenging projects. Sometimes there are different situations. But research, by the way, research says that we get most things done on average on Tuesdays. So if you want to get something done, share with people on Friday or Monday that they should do it, give them Tuesday to do it, and on Wednesday you can get it done, hopefully, right? If it's a one-day job, of course. So thinking about the management of the energy and not time is super important with the team, right? How do they behave? How much energy do they have? And what gives them more energy will help you work with them accordingly. And one of the things with the teams, I copied it from a different presentation I wanted to share. What you should remember that the teams will be evolving, right? Right now we're seeing, okay, people using ChatGPT or generative AI and so on. And by the way, a lot of people are using, and those that are using are usually more productive. On average, there are already research, they are more productive as project managers. Just by using that, without any fancy project management tool set software and so on. So we call it super jobs, right? Jobs that combine the use of AI within your workplace and how that works. But what will also be happening as we move forward in one way or the other, and it may be tomorrow and maybe in 20 years, right? But eventually it apparently will happen, right? We will have cobots. So what that means, cooperative bot or robot, right? That helps you deliver some specific tasks. And you can have robots for the specific tasks and cobots for support and so on, right? So what you will eventually become is a project manager or leader of the team that may have a new participants, right? Robots or cobots, right? And while now this is, you know, a very simple thinking about this additional software, but that may extend and you may use some, I don't know, few people we mentioned at the beginning of the session, few people are using AI for doing the notes from this meeting, right? So, but if that would be your personal assistant for other things as well, right? So basically you do have kind of a team member, right? Of the specific status that you need to sort out for your team, right? Because if you send this assistant and that assistant will go to Mariusz, for example, right? And ask him something. Should he be listening? Shouldn't he be listening? Should he be offended, not offended, and so on? Oh, those are all the things to sort out. But we should embrace the super teams concept where you will be working with, to some extent, automated workforce as well. And how do we manage that? So that's an interesting mental exercise to do for yourself now to be ready for the future. So those are some of the things that I wanted to leave from the team's perspective. And now let's move to the program manager and portfolio manager. And as always, we do have a quick question to you. So when you think about program and project managers, of course, if you're in the smaller organizations, you may not have program or portfolio manager formal role. Sometimes they're called delivery managers. Sometimes they're called portfolio managers. Sometimes you report directly to CTO or CEO or CPO and so on. That's normal. But if you have experience or if you can imagine, right, what would be important for program managers or portfolio managers when they think about their PMs? So PMs that work on their programs or within their portfolios to deliver projects. What would be important for them? And of course, we'll see if it's something different than individually or by the teams. Oh, a strong word in a positive sense, authority. Okay, I like that. Knowledge, I think twofold, right? So knowledge knowing about different things and stuff within the space of project management and others, but also knowing about your project, right? Being able to share the information and provide it. Benefits delivery. Okay, I'm your program manager. I want you to deliver, right? Obviously. Shared understanding. We should be on the same phase, right? And there goes disagree but commit. I already did have this in the team as well, in the contract with my team, for example. This is actually something I added, right? I understand that some of the team members may disagree with some direction, but if the company or our project is moving in a specific direction, and if that's decided already, and it was already discussed why and so on, what I require from my team members is they may not agree, but they need to commit. Right? We can discuss, we can challenge, we can support them into providing different views so that maybe we will change the direction of the project. But until the decision is made that we are changing, I require full commitment. Right? Otherwise, I cannot have trust in the team member, and as such, we cannot work as a team. Leadership, yes, with all those elements of the leadership into the team and outside of the team. I'm not sure how it's about you, but for me, a very interesting setup within becoming the leader, especially leader of the leaders. The first time I was a manager of team leaders, right, was that I was focusing mainly inwards. And by that, I mean 90% of my time, I focused on my teams, right? On how to work with teams, what to do, how to deliver, how to work, and so on. And what I found interesting, and actually that came from a coaching session I had with the executive coach, right, is that what you should roughly focus, at least what I believe you should be focusing on, is 50% inwards and 50% outwards, right, to the sponsors, stakeholders, and so on. And that goes very well with this research that you saw there, right, that the building network and managing and influencing the management, right, and the leadership and the other teams, right? So in that sense, that would be also your program manager, portfolio manager, anyone else, right? And finding time for it, representing the team, fighting for the team, being assertive, not taking too much, and so on. Those are all the things that you do outward, not inward, right? And you need to have time in your calendar for that. And that works in your head pretty well, how to schedule things and how many things you need to delegate. Because if you're not doing that, that probably you are taking too much on yourself. You should be delegating that to the team. Right? So thank you for sharing those elements here: change management, negotiations, alignment with strategy, skill set, vision, clarity. Great points. So I do have few things here for you, right? One is, and I took it from other presentation because I loved those points, right? First, you're responsible. So from the delegation perspective, if I go quickly here, right? So I want my project managers to be fairly on the right side of things, right? 4, 5, 6, or 7, right? So to speak. We may start with the junior somewhere earlier, right? Or if it's a completely new or R&D project, that's absolutely start earlier, but quickly move into that direction, because I really want you to take ownership, right? So you know the details, right? And I don't need to know all the details. I want you to deliver, right? Second is, don't go too deep into the rabbit hole. Goes the same, right? So do not spend, $2 or $2 million or on automation of our system if eventually we will get only $1 million or $1 from it, right? It may be not worth it. So you should be having a common sense when it comes to managing the budget and the business and so on. We do not need fancy toys, right? We don't see what we don't see. I see something. Menti? Check what happened here. So are we good now? Am I presenting? Everything's okay? Okay. So moving forward. So sorry for that. So then, if I'm program manager or portfolio manager, what I expect for project manager is the bottom line. Tell me, will we finish or not? Will we deliver or not? What are the challenges, right? I want you also to understand how you may impact other projects, or if they may impact you, right? We can look at the, I want you to understand what are the problems and bring up those issues that require a decision, right? Ideally with your recommendation. You should be recommending because you're the expert, or your team is the expert here, right? And of course, don't worry, I will not shoot the messenger, but that goes the other way around. I may come from the board meeting and tell you, hey, we're killing this project, or now we will be doing something completely different, right? Well, I understand your irritation, and I will do my best to explain to you, your project manager, why we're doing that or what's happening, right? It's still maybe the thing that you don't like, right? And something that people do not agree often, but I think that's very true. Unfortunately, the thing that you work hard and put a lot of effort and spend a lot of time, but if it doesn't bring results, unfortunately, that doesn't bring that much value. Now, if we are talking about gaining experience, or let's check whether that will work or not, or you want to learn and that's why you're putting that, absolutely, that's super fine, right? But ultimately, what I need from you are the results. We can discuss how, where. If you came with the issues, it's my job to help you solve those issues, as it's your job to help with your team, right? But hard work doesn't necessarily equal results, and it's worth remembering, in my opinion. A few things that we're doing, you may be using different tool sets, right? One of the things we built for ourselves is we called it Project Health, and later on a fire score. So how many problems we have in which projects, in which portfolio. So you as project manager, my opinion is you should understand what is your program or portfolio manager looking at. And they are not you looking into the detailed notes from your projects if they have many projects. I had in my portfolio, I had 150 projects at this organization. So imagine how much time I can spend on each of the projects. I cannot spend much time, right? What I will look at the red dots if something's not working there, right? And I will have the overview of the bigger aggregated score there, right? Called fire score, right? I will be looking at specific project. For example, this project would have, okay, fire score, it means the higher fire score, that means something bad is happening. The lower score, closer to 0, there's no fire, it's good in the project, right? And then I will be checking, right? Okay, how is this project doing in time, not in the specific moment only, but in time. How is it doing with the client? How is the team happy? Is the team happy or not, right? And so on. And based on that, I may be putting those for the review with the project manager, right? So it should be project manager coming to me with the challenges, but at the same time, it's my job to understand how the portfolio is doing. So I would be looking at those things, right? And then, I can put all of those things here and review and check and look against the timeline and so on. Every organization uses different tool set, right? But understanding what your portfolio or program manager is looking at is essential for you to providing the right value, right? So for us, those would be, we would have financial metrics, project metrics, team metrics, right? And for example, team, it's interesting. We will be looking at the seniority of the team, both on the technical side of things and when did they join the team, right? So, and a few other things, right? And all of that gives me like here indication, hey, we should be looking into that because that goes from the account management segment of the Lions, right? So it's a big account and we are having problems there, right? We should be looking at that, right? But then of course, some people use Jira, right? And we'll do a quick connections within that. And some people will use as simple things as Excel, right? Or whatever else. And that's super fine. You don't need fancy tool set. What you need is clarity. You mentioned clarity, right? And if I'm running this on a spreadsheet and we agreed we'll do that in a spreadsheet, what I need to you as project manager is to fill in the data on time and the right data. Because, the saying goes, something in, something out, right, into the system. So if you put trash into the system, you get trash out of the system, right? So then nothing will work. So you adapt those. And finally, the final thing from the portfolio or program manager that you will have here is thinking about the things, should we stop the project? Maybe I, as program manager or portfolio, if I come to you and say, hey, we should close this project, we will have discussion on that. But sometimes it should be you already see that this project will not bring value. You already see it doesn't make sense to spend money on that, right? Okay, so interestingly, so let me do it again. Can you see it now? Okay, so I'm not sure where you were, so I just quickly, you already remember, hopefully, you have the list of those things, right? Don't spend, bottom line, impacts, and so on. Then I was showing the visualization of how portfolio manager may be looking at the projects, right? And the set of projects. I had 150 of those, right? Then you may have different graphs representing how the projects are doing in different scenarios, what's happening there, how the things are doing, right? And then the total view for the specific project, that was the lion. So I needed to look into that and talk with either delivery manager or directly with the project manager to solve some issues if they need my help, right? You can be using Jira, you can be using Excel, but regardless of what you're using, right, it's a matter of understanding who is looking at what and why do you need specific data, and then feeling that the data. Okay. And then coming back here, this is the final one where I jumped. So this one is, remember that sometimes it's okay to close the project, right? You should be closing the project. And actually, my take is, I take this as a very good sign of ownership and proactiveness of a project manager that comes to me and tells me, hey, I think we should close the project, right? Of course, well, you need to consider why and whether the things and so on, but that's for the discussion with the leader. Usually they will appreciate that. Exceptions apply, of course. Okay, so we do have eyes of the CEO and the client. Those will be very quick here. And then we'll be wrapping up. So first things first, we already know what we're doing, right? So the CEO. So what's most important for the CEO? You saw that we had differences between the self view, the team view, and the program manager's view. Are there any views? It can be higher management. It can be CTO, CDO, CPO, or you name the C-suite, right? But the leadership of the organization, right? So is there something that that you get there that is important for the CEO? Okay. Those are longer answers. If maybe you're looking for this. Okay. By the way, you don't have to put 3, right? If you just want to put 1, that's most important. That's okay as well there. Okay, some started to show up. So let's quickly see. Benefit delivery, obviously. ROI, so return on investment. Budget, profit. So money, right? Cost optimization, incomes and expenses, value, timeline. Okay. Performance, how are we doing? How are we setting things, right? Cost management, clients, are the clients happy? I'm assuming. Are we delivering? Just get the job done. Absolute performance, budget. Okay. KPIs. Okay, if we have any specific KPIs that are there, some organizations work on the KPI scorecard or OKRs. Are we getting those sorted out? Right? Business value delivered, profit, ROI. Okay, customer satisfaction. Cool. So my take on the CEO and the leadership team is that they already think from the organization perspective. Now, remember, if it's a smaller organization, it will be a mix because this person will be having 5 different hats at the same time. But the larger the organization, the farther the person is from that directly. So what's worth remembering, right? That they will be looking somewhere in between the vision and the values. Usually the values everyone should be looking at, but from the lifetime perspective, right? The founders usually look at that. If you do have founders of your organization, they want to look, at BHAGs, at big, hairy, audacious goals. In 20 years, we will serve 1 billion people, right? We'll do something extremely well, right? But then CEOs of this world will look in this level especially, right? So vision, mission, understanding what we want to achieve, how we want to achieve, how we want to run the vision, who do we want to be, right? But actually what they will do the strategic planning at the level of between 1 to 5 years. Why is that? In current world, it's extremely hard to say what will happen in 5 years. Like literally almost nobody knows. There are specific industries that know that there will still be houses built, for example, maybe in completely different technology, but there are some industries that do not know what will happen tomorrow. And so currently the planning usually goes between 1 to 3 years, the strategic planning, right? There still should be vision and mission, what we want to achieve, how we want to go in the long term, right? But the strategic planning usually goes between 1 to 3 years. You are probably as project manager, we are working somewhere here, right? So delivering strategic goals using specific projects as tactics for them, right? So we are here as delivery, while we should understand everything so that we understand what's important for the CEO. Now, every organization has something, calls it differently. PMI Colombo does have Colombo Sri Lanka chapter, right? Does have objectives, right? What our team wants to do, what wants to achieve, so that every project manager, every partner, every client can check it out and say, hey, that fits into what we want to do. I can help organization deliver some value through that, right? So regardless how you name it, those are important things to have in your organization. And your job as project manager is to understand why you are there, how your project is helping in delivering the value within the strategy of the organization. But you mentioned money, right? Cost management, profit, margin, ROI, right? And there is something called universal law of business, and that's saying return, margin, so profit times velocity. So how fast can I get that profit? Because there may be a lot of profit to be gained, but in 50 years, I may not have the cash flow or patience to wait that long, right? So there are a number of factors there. And of course, you can change that into the most important KPIs or metrics that you have, because that doesn't necessarily need to be margin. It may be customer engagement. It may be team's happiness. It may be something else that's most important for you in the specific time frame, right? And if that is decided by the leadership team that that's something super crucial and important, they will be looking into that. But they will still see, okay, when can we get it, and how fast can we get how much of that? So a few things that are not important for the CEO. Usually they don't care about the methodology, what you do, hybrid, agile, Kanban, waterfall, doesn't matter, right? How you do it. Jargon doesn't matter. Some of them may understand it and they will ask you, okay, do you understand earned value? Give me some earned value proposition and so on. Majority would just tell you, when will I have it? How much will it cost, right? I'm simplifying, right? But what's important for them? When can I have it, right? What are the alternatives, especially if there are challenges, right? What are the options? You tell me what are the options, right? How good will be this solution, right? Because maybe we'll have the solution, but it won't bring value, right? How good will be the solution? And then what they do not like, drama, right? They do want to hear about all those, challenges on the project level, absolutely, but not the drama between the people, usually, right? They do not like being negatively surprised. Some of you put it on the team side of things, right? That the team doesn't want to be negatively or often, I think, surprised by the project manager, right? CEO doesn't like to be surprised negatively. So you said that you will deliver and you don't deliver, right? You said something, that something else is happening. They don't like that. Or they do not like to be cornered by the client. So you already know that the client is not happy, right? But you didn't tell up the chain, right? And then they get cornered by the CEO of another big company saying that they're not doing a good job in their project and they have no clue what the project is, right? So someone that is supporting them should have at least a glimpse that there may be a challenge with that. That doesn't necessarily mean to go with everything the CEO, of course, right? But have this balanced thought there. But what they do like, quick delivery of the business value, some of you spot on, put it there, right? Increased predictability. I understand that the things may not go well. Things may change. I want you to be fairly good at predicting though, right? So if something changes, because it needs to change, predict to me how does that impact the system. But ideally plan and predict in the way where we hit the targets pretty well, right? And I want the good quality of everything. Right? Now, a few other thoughts. When you think how to work with CEOs, right? What usually works, you adapt to the style that they have. And by the way, majority of the CEOs, I think 7 out of 10, they are very quick to make decisions. And they are very judgmental, so they very quickly make decisions based on the judgment that they make. They usually like numbers more than anything else, and a few other things, right? So know where your leader fits into the person, what they like to get, because if they love fancy graphs, you should prepare fancy graphs for them, right? But majority of them like hard data, right? So they just want quick update in the data. KPIs should be adapted to risk appetite. So you should understand what is your company's risk appetite? How much are they willing to invest or risk to achieve some KPIs? And that may change your strategy, right? You may have more aggressive or less aggressive strategy for your project, right? Drop the jargon, focus on the value delivered, share honest estimations to, again, manage expectations, right? And I cannot tell you how important it is. Majority of the people do not ask CEOs or their leaders for what they need because they are afraid, they feel ashamed, or whatever else, right? Ask and you shall be given. 9 out of 10, probably, that's my experience, right? If you ask for something, they will think and they will say, yeah, okay, we can do it, right? And you get what you need, right? It's reasonable, right? Common sense applies, right? But reasonable things. So ask if you need something to succeed, right? And then have a big picture, understand how all those things work together. So to cover all of that, we do have across the years, that's 1988, right? Different skill set that was needed. We chatted, communication, organization, and so on. That's how it started, but then it started shifting. In 2010, IBM did a study, and most important leadership qualities from the CEO's perspective was creativity. So solving problems to some extent, right? Integrity, so ethics, someone mentioned ethics, right? And global thinking, this big view, right? Then it moved in 2012, there was a report by PMI, right? And look, number 1, leadership qualities. Number 2, ability to deal with ambiguity and uncertainty, right? So change management, right? Those challenges, they will be there. You should be able to manage across those. And then a lot of things on the communication, 3 and 4, and so on, right? Now, later on in 17, PwC was asking, this was non-technical skills, right? And CEOs were saying what's most important. Now, remember, only some were given and all of them are important. It's a matter of which was the most important. And look, it moved the problem solving. So it was called creativity, maybe a little bit there, but then they split it, right? So problem solving, you are the person to help me solve problems, right? 2 days ago we had a presentation on transformations, and my friend Marek, he was mentioning Pulp Fiction. There was this character, I don't remember his name, right? But in the Pulp Fiction film by Quentin Tarantino, and he was entering the room and he was saying, let's say his name is Tom, right? He was saying, hey, my name is Tom and I solve problems, right? So that's what you do, right? You solve problems for your clients, for your company. World Economic Forum in 2020, they've put this setup, right? A lot of different skills that are important for everyone, not only leaders, right? But look how many of them are blue, and blue means problem solving, right? Type of skill, problem solving, right? So that's something that's expected for you among other things. And the most recent one is PwC. Very recently, one of the things that I wanted to share with you is, but the times change. AI is showing you will have virtual partnership, right? You will be a mix of yourself and the virtual partner that can take some of the work of project manager in the organization. CEO will know that, or will expect that some of the jobs will be taken away by the automation or by the tool set and so on, right? But still you will be needed, right? But focus will be on other things, complex problems, data science, so understanding the numbers and how that works together, right? Making decisions, not only supporting and recommending, but making decisions in a fast-changing world, right? Emotional intelligence growing even further, and many other points, right? Those are the things that are super important. So the type of job will change, focus will change, but points still remain. A lot of those remain through the years. And finally, the last point, and those will be, I think, 2 slides, and we do the summary, is the client. So let's do a quick check on the client side of things. What do you think on the client? What is the most important for the client? Is there anything new, anything different, or maybe the same thing that is important for the client? And we're writing here. So anything important for the client. Of course, in regards to project manager, right? Being a great project manager. Transparency, value proposition, results, achieving the purpose, low on surprises, absolutely. Quality, value, excellent. Timely updates, right? So give me updates when they are needed on the regular basis. Deliverables, achieving the purpose. No surprise. Delightful, or probably being delightful and the product being delightful. Value, less complexity, no surprises. Excellent points. Progress update, quality growing. So value, quality, transparency, cost, super important points for the clients. Great points. I'll jump in. You can still add them there. Okay. So what is important from the client, from my perspective? Client is like CEO, in my opinion. If you copy everything from the client and you apply it to from the CEO and you apply it for the client, you're good to go. Right? But there are some other things. Ideally, understand my business, why I am doing those things. What business do I mean if you're doing it for the client? If you're doing it internally, still understand what's the value of my department. Why are we here? What are we driving? Then understand needs of my clients. So my business may be providing value for other clients, right? So I'm your client, but beneficiaries of the project that you're running may be my clients. So understand what they need, do the iterations as in the agility concept, right? Own it, just be the owner of that. And that goes with the reports, updates, but running the problems, doing everything, right? Just be the owner. Ideally be the owner that feels almost as if you work within my company, right? And then manage expectations, those timelines, deliverables, and all the other things, right? Just manage expectations. And if I'm with the expectations, I would like to remind you the thing that you shouldn't make promises early in the project, right? What you can and should do is give the range, right? So say, hey, if you have specific experience or right away you know everything, then that's okay, right? You can be close. But the very early, if someone asks you how long will it take, you can give a large range, and it should be super okay that it's from minus times 4 to plus times 4. Of course, no client will approve that, right? But then they will give you this time to actually understand more, discuss with you, to get deeper into that, so that you can give a more reasonable estimations. But always, in my opinion, always, if that's possible, give brackets. It will take from this to this depending on the circumstances, and those circumstances are, right? If this and this better, it's a good result. If this and this better, it's a bad result, right? And other unpredictable things may change it, right? And the same for the budget, the same for other things. So that's it. So to sum up, we gathered here to chat about 5 sides of the coin. So when I was preparing, I asked ChatGPT, right? What should the participants understand from the conference when I prepared the presentation, named 5 sides of the coin, what makes PM a great PM. And that's the only thing I asked it, right? And that smart thing said, right? Only the bold ones, don't read the whole thing, right? We should explore various perspectives or dimensions related to project management. I hope it's check, right? And what contributes to making a project manager excellent in their role. Hopefully we covered that. The metaphor 5 sides of the coins implies that there are multiple aspects or facets to consider. Yes, they are, at least 5. There are probably many, many more, right? But from that perspective, I've put 5 here. And then what you could anticipate is gaining insights into holistic view of project management and learning about the multifaceted nature of being a great project manager. So hopefully you did get some maybe reminders, or maybe good points to implement, or maybe some tools that you'll use. I'll remind just a few of those for you. Remember about perspective and business value. Start with why. Why are we doing things? And share it with everyone and understand it. Adapt the right tool set and approach, right? Choose your battles and pick ones. Don't spend $2 on $1 gain, right? But consider what if scenarios and share those. I want options as CEO. I want to understand the recommendations here, right? Take responsibility for the outcomes, right? Own it. Be the owner of the things, right? Solve problems. You are the problem solver. Complex problems, creativity, all those things. Communication leadership. All of you, all the time, in every iteration, you've put communication in one of the top 3 usually, right? Communication and leadership, right? Manage expectations, right? Make sure that you get the right expectations managed. And then reminder, be on top of the trends. That there are many trends, they are fast changing for the PM and for the whole board. Understand how they may impact you, your business, your project, and everything that you do. And with that in mind, thank you so much. I hope you found the value in that. I did, let's say, learn 2 more words. Oyates tutti, nanji. Thank you very much. Dziękuję. Hope you enjoyed the presentation. I believe we have up to 9 minutes for any potential discussion or chat, but I'll give it over to organizers.
Thank you very much, Przemek Kotecki, for such an insightful, informative presentation. So ladies and gentlemen, let's quickly dive into the Q&A session. If you have any questions to our keynote speaker, you can ask now, or else you can use the chat box, or else you can unmute yourself and ask questions.
If you have questions, just jump in, or maybe there's some concept that you like the most, or you saw that it works in your organizations and you want to share.
Przemek, can I ask a question?
But of course.
Yeah, regarding the team, you showed the team formation stages, and
yes.
Once the team is going through these stages, how the project manager or the team leader, maybe in agile perspective, the scrum master. So this time period moving towards the performing stage should be achieved within the short time period, unless otherwise the velocity is less, project velocity, team velocity. So in your perspective, I think you have a lot of experience. How the project manager or the scrum master or maybe the team leader can achieve this within short time period, getting the team to the performing level and increase the team velocity?
Oh, that's excellent, super smart question. Thank you, Saman. So my take is that you probably do the same things that you did when you formed the first team here, as they're changing, right? But faster. And by that I mean you've already worked with all the other team members. If you have someone new joining, for example, right? What you can do, you can share your values and your project setup and your contract up front so that they review it and they see what they agree with, what they don't agree with, what expectations they have. They can prepare by themselves just before joining the team. Everyone else knows the contract. So then when you meet, right, you do the review of those and you add on that person plus do the presentations of the other team members. So that helps a lot because everyone feels that they reviewed the contract and they are still on the same page, or something changed, because that can be your opportunity for update or version 2.0 or version 3.0 of the contract as well. So that's one thing that you do. You have already a lot of things reviewed. You probably don't need to and probably shouldn't do everything from the scratch there, right? So that helps you a lot because everyone has a reference point. The new person already understands, right, what's expected from the respective of behavior and the culture of the team, right? And as they are joining, they understand that they should adhere to that, unless if not, they need to rediscuss that with the team and open. So that helps a lot. And then the other part is with the conflicts. My take is that in majority, this is the awareness that those will be there and it's okay, right? As long as we work as mature people. So two things to apply there and teach your teams if possible, right? One is nonviolent communication, right? And there are books, there are trainings, so that and so on. So how to communicate in the way that people understand what you want to achieve without being offended, right? Or have their internal guards being there. Because sometimes you say something and even though you have only positive intent, someone takes this as an attack on them, right? So you want to communicate in the way that helps to solve that. So that's non-violent communication. And the second part that I would say to you put with the team is sorry. I dropped the note here. So transactional analysis, right? So what that means, you've got those three levels, right? Where you do have someone can be a parent, a child, or someone in between. I don't remember, right? And then if people understand it, you want them to act mature. You want them both to work as adults or parents, right? Talking to each other, rather that one is the kid that's being scolded or building a conflict and then solving this out. So with those two elements, that speeds up the process immensely.
Thank you so much. I think there are questions available in chat.
Oh yeah. So I can read them loud and then answer, right? So what would you advise to PM in terms of upskilling both tech and not tech, considering one, changing era, AI and this old stuff, two, they need to be on top of the stakeholders. So I would say you should practice and play with the tool set and with the generative AI that is free to use in majority of cases for play and test at least, right? So absolutely check, understand. I would go, if you haven't done that, I would go through some short training. There are some free materials as well for that, to understand the wider picture. So what are the elements of the technology underneath this, right? What is the difference between data science and the robotic automation and generative AI and something, right? Just to have the grasp and be able to discuss that, because you may need to use it as a tools with the experts on your team that will actually use it, right? So that I would do definitely. On the other side of things, they need to be on top of stakeholders. Well, nothing will take away practice. So you need to practice and you need to just test it. If I were to say, practice it on some other people. So if you are afraid of testing something on the chat with your CEO, find some people that, within your teams or outside that you will think, hey, I want to practice how I would handle specific situations. And just do, this will sound funny, but do role playing. That helps a lot because that rewires you how you think into and get ready, and your body and your mind remember how you handle specific situations, even though they were virtual and not true for you at that time. And then you can play with that. We can write later on some materials for some other things if that would be useful. And I see two other ones. So, and that was from Nivita, thank you. And now is Shamil. Sorry if I'm butchering your names. Do you think that use of generative AI will have a positive impact towards the overall project management and project delivery in the near future? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. So more will be delivered. Productivity will be higher. Right now, that doesn't mean that there will be a bigger success rate. That comes with all the other elements that we covered, not only this, but we may be doing some things faster or quicker, or a generative AI assistant, for example, may support us in making the right calls or better decision on getting data. What you just need to remember is it's not know all systems, right? All the systems that we know so far are hallucinating. So hallucination in the AI or Gen AI means that they are making things up. If they do not know the answer, they may be making up stories for you. So you may get untrue data and untrue propositions. What you should do, usually those systems do have somewhere in the options, how much hallucination do you allow? So how creative they can get. And you may drop it, right, to zero. Then you will get purely data. Of course, they will get better and better. But, you know, this is almost like with those super teams I mentioned, right? So here you would say, trust but verify. So get that, but make sure that you verify that the data is correct. And of course, within your company, the better data you put in, the better you get out. But yes, overall, I believe it will have us as project managers to focus on the most important things, working with people and with teams, solving the problems, being creative, making decisions, and getting away from the more mundane tasks. Plus, it will help us be better at writing and doing some other things. The second challenge here that may be is that we may become lazy as people and as project managers. So if you get the system to provide you recommendations, you may believe it too much based on some data, and you may not put the human factor or common sense factor in place. This is known in the autonomous driving, that when you have the cars that autonomously drive and on the tests, right? And then so the person that is there to support it, not autonomous driving, sorry, when you get this element that helps you ride straight, right? So people start losing focus on the road, and then they had some accidents because of that. And they've tested on the recruitment that if the autonomous systems are in the recruitment, you actually lose a lot of good candidates because of some rules that were put there. So that's it. And the final one, and I think we need to wrap up then, is just a comment. Trends are super interesting, of course. And what else? It also interesting is what is timeless. I believe expectations are timeless. Oh, so true, Robert. Healthy teams are in kind of expectations setting factory, set expectations, meet the expectations, rinse, repeat. Yeah, love that. Absolutely, yes. All right, I think covered all the questions.
Thank you so much, Shivantika.
All right. Our keynote speaker, Przemek Kotecki. A big thank you.
Video is closed, I think.
Okay, now I have a, okay, sure. Right, thank you, Zaman. Our keynote speaker is Przemek Kotecki. A very big thank you for your insightful session on what makes PM a great PM. Amazing. Your presentation was truly informative. Thank you very much. So we extend our sincere appreciation for your active participation in this event. As a token of appreciation, we are pleased to present you with this certificate of participation. Your presence and involvement were invaluable, sir. So I would like to invite Mrs. Aman Kandarashi to deliver the certificate of participation to our keynote speaker. Mrs. Aman Kandarashi?
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Can you see now? Shivanta, can you see it?
No, not yet. No.
Okay. Can you see it?
No. But then I truly thank you for the hosting and inviting me here. That was pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for the comments and the questions. I'd loved to join you, and again, that brings so many good memories for me.
I think there's a screen issue coming on. Can you share it so from your side? The certificate.
Are you going to pressure to share it with someone?
Yeah. There's an issue in my laptop. Please share it from your side.
Okay. We would like to deliver this participation certificates via email, Mr. Przemek Kotecki. Thank you very much for your valuable contribution on this event. It's truly amazing. Thank you so much. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we have
take a screen photo with the videos.
Yeah, definitely.
Your videos are closed.
Before wind up the session, I would like to invite all of you to take a group photo. I would like to switch on your cameras if you are in a position to do so. Thank you. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
I have taken one. And moment. Let's take another one. One more, please. All right. Thank you very much for all your support, your contribution. It means a lot. You are the essence of the success of this chapter. We really appreciate it. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, because we have already reached close time. So, thank you very much for your active participation. Special thank you goes to our keynote speaker, Przemek Kotecki. I'm really sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly. Beg your pardon. So, right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your valuable insights. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience with this valuable audience. Thank you very much. And my dear attendees, thank you very much for your participation and your support. You are the essence of our chapter. And until that, we would like to look forward to your coming future events. Until that, stay safe and stay inspired. Good night.
Good night. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pramis. Thank you so much. Good night.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.